For those that don't know me, I'm Philippa Charrier and I'm a mum on a mission to rethink student wellbeing and spark a new movement, one that doesn't just respond to crisis but to help it prevent it entirely. Right now, somewhere in the UK, a straight-A student is Googling how to end her life. She hasn't told anyone, but she's slipping academically, emotionally and physically, and her family and friends will only know when it's too late. I'm not a professor, I'm not a psychologist. I didn't train to be a doctor, I trained to be an architect. For years I worked all over the world on award-winning urban regeneration projects, designing environments that shape how people live, move and feel. 12 years ago I founded Fat Properties, an award-winning student accommodation company, using design as a tool to support well-being. Yes, I'm a property developer and a landlord and a 2-time author, Designed for Wellbeing and Student Thrive Mode, which we published in this September. But above all, I'm a mum of 3 and someone who spent years listening to students, learning from experts and studying neuroscience, psychology and ancient wisdom in search of real answers. And why have I been doing this? Because I've watched a generation quietly falling apart behind closed doors. These students are not lazy, they are not broken. They are just overwhelmed, under-supported and out of sync with the world that we've built around them. I didn't ever set out to write 1 book or even 2. I set out to solve a problem I saw too many young people facing alone. We keep telling young people, university is going to be the best years of your life. And for some it is, but for many it really isn't. And we can't fix what we don't face. Here are the stats. 1 in 3 university students will experience clinical levels of anxiety or depression during their degree. 1 in 4 have seriously considered suicide in the past year. 9 in 10 say education is their biggest source of anxiety. 2/3 feel lonely, with 1 in 5 saying they don't have a single close friend. Prescriptions for antidepressants among 18 to 24-year-olds has doubled in the last decade. Only 4% of university students say they have good mental well-being. Behind every stat is a young person waking up with dread, scrolling to escape, struggling silently, unseen, unheard, unsupported. And this isn't just a phase, it's getting worse. Mental health conditions among undergraduates are now 5 times higher than they were 10 years ago. We talk about resilience, but how can students build it when we're not setting them up to do so? From a young age, we hand them a smartphone instead of space, Wi-Fi instead of wisdom, and hope they'll somehow grow up knowing how to cope. We give them access to the entire world whilst disconnecting them from their own. By the time they reach university, many have spent a decade learning how to swipe, scroll and self-compare, but not how to rest, not how to self-regulate, not how to reach out when things fall apart. We glamorise independence, hand them a loan and a laptop and expect them to figure it out. Too often I hear people say they're only students, they just need to toughen up. We manage without help. But the world is not the same, and neither is the university experience. This generation of students is the first to grow up without ever knowing life before the internet, raised on front-facing cameras and filtered perfection, where self-worth was shaped in public and measured in pixels. They've grown up in a culture of comparison, distraction and perfectionism under constant pressure to perform, achieve and appear fine. They're navigating a world their parents never had to survive. Phones that steal their sleep with blue light, late night scrolling and endless dopamine hits, ultra-processed food sold as convenience, stripping their brains of the nutrients they desperately need, delivered 24/7 to their sofas on the tap of a button, online lectures and Zoom tutorials replacing real connection with digital fatigue, studio flats and ensuite rooms sold at private luxury but often breeding deep loneliness, a culture of digital comparison where filtered perfection is the baseline and no one ever feels enough. billion-pound AI systems designed to hijack their attention, keeping them hooked on TikTok, YouTube, Netflix, Instagram, Facebook, and the infinite scroll. Movement replaced screen time. Nature replaced by noise. We built them a world of 24/7 access, but forgot to build them in rest, rhythm, and real relationships. We gave them unlimited content, but took away the anchors that keep us human. They're not weaker. They're not failing, they're simply trying to function in an environment that's working against them every minute of every single day. And it's no wonder so many are struggling. Where students live also matters, but too often we're building for efficiency, not for well-being. We spend 90% of our lives indoors and 65% of that time in our homes. Students spend 2 full years of a 3-year degree in the accommodation that we build. So how we design those spaces, it matters. We're not just shaping bedrooms, we're shaping nervous systems, we're shaping mental health whether we realise it or not. Studio flats with everything at arm's reach. No need to share a bathroom or a kitchen, we say, as if privacy trumps loneliness. But these rooms have become echo chambers. There's no reason to leave, no natural nudge towards connection. Studio living isn't just independence, it's often social starvation. A few years ago, I was invited to judge an international design competition. Bright, talented students had flown in from all over the world, future architects, engineers, creators, but every conversation came back to the same thing: pressure, perfectionism, exhaustion, medication. Every single student I met was on antidepressants, and what struck me wasn't the number, it was how normalised it had become. Like exhaustion, anxiety and medication were now just part of being a student. One student pulled me aside and told me about someone who used to live in their building. Another student, living alone in a studio flat. They'd taken their own life. They'd been gone for days before anyone had noticed. The studio had everything: high-speed Wi-Fi, an ensuite, a kitchenette, everything except someone to knock, someone to ask, "Are you okay?" The only people in their life were the paid staff working in the building. There were no close friends, no housemates, no one to put the world to rights with, just a quiet room behind a locked door. That story has never left me. That was someone's son, someone's brother, someone's friend. And it should never ever be that easy for a young person to disappear, especially without being missed. We've sidelined student wellbeing as if it's not central to success, as if it's someone else's problem, something for the universities to deal with, or the parents, or the NHS. But it's not a student problem, it's a societal one. Because these young people, they're tomorrow's doctors and nurses, teachers and scientists, founders, carers, leaders and builders, and parents. If we lose them to crisis or even chronic burnout, we lose more than individuals, we lose the future. Because when a student drops out, a ripple spreads, families suffer, workplaces lose innovation, communities fracture, mental health services become overwhelmed. What happens downstream when we ignore wellbeing upstream? We get overloaded A&Es, staff shortages, broken systems, a generation unable to carry the world we're asking them to lead. We're spending billions rescuing people once they're already drowning, but prevention is cheaper than cure and far more powerful. Let's talk about what happens when students do speak up and ask for help, because many don't. Those who do are often met with a system that's overwhelmed, under-resourced and reactive. They have at least a 4-month waiting list for support. Too often students who do seek support are offered antidepressants before anyone even asks them about their lifestyle. No one asks, are you sleeping? Are you eating real food? Are you moving your body? Are you connected to anyone who cares? Instead, a 10-minute GP appointment might lead to prescription, but no personalised plan, no real conversation and no follow-up on how they're actually living. And here's the really scary part. A 2022 review found no evidence that depression is caused by low serotonin, challenging one of the most widely held beliefs in modern psychiatry. Yet despite this, medication is still routinely offered as a first-time treatment to many students seeking help. But the risks are real. Antidepressants can increase suicidal thought and behaviours in young people, especially in the early weeks of use. These risks are stated in pharmaceutical leaflets and NICE guidelines, but how many are aware of this? How many students are ever told? Long-term use can lead to emotional numbness, dependency and withdrawal symptoms, often mistaken for relapse, therefore leading to higher doses. And many students are left carrying the mental diagnosis long after the distress has passed, a label that can shape their identity, limit their self-belief, and influence how others see them. That's not to say medication has no place. For some it is essential, but for many it's not the first step that's needed. And we're seeing a disturbing pattern. We've started medicalising emotional pain instead of listening to it. We're treating symptoms, not systems. We're diagnosing distress as a disorder when it's often a perfectly human reaction to an inhuman environment. And let's be clear, if a student is sleep deprived, undernourished and socially isolated, if they haven't moved in days or stepped outside, if they feel behind before they've even begun, then of course they're anxious. Of course they feel depressed, and of course they're struggling. Giving pills without addressing root causes is like trying to silence a fire alarm instead of putting out the fire. Pills can't fix what the environment has broken, and yet we keep expecting them to. We don't expect a plant in the dark to thrive. We give it light, water and nourishment, and then it grows stronger. And it's time we did the same for our students. Feeling overwhelmed is in a massive life transition isn't a disorder, it's a signal. But we've created a system that turns distress into diagnosis and hands out pills instead of tools. Let's zoom out for a moment. Human beings evolved on the savannah, moving daily, eating real food, sleeping with the sun and living in close community. Our biology hasn't changed much in 200,000 years, but our environment has drastically. We are Stone Age bodies living in a digital age world. Our students are navigating constant deadlines, artificial light, processed food, 24/7 alerts, no rhythm, no rest, no roots. And we wonder why they're dysregulated. This isn't a problem that we can medicate our way out of. And just in case you're in any doubt, if medication alone worked, the stats would not be getting worse, would they? But here's the good news. In the past few years, I've immersed myself in this space, reading the research, listening to students, and learning from every single angle I could, from trauma therapists and neuroscientists to GPs, sleep experts, functional medicine, doctors, psychologists, behavioural scientists, and even ancient wisdom traditions. And you know what I found? They're all saying the same thing. From the Stoics to the yogis, from Harvard labs to the frontline medics, from modern biohacking to ancient breathing techniques. The answer is in how we live. Real well-being isn't built in crisis, it's built from the ground up through daily repeatable habits that nourish the nervous system and protect mental health. It's not complicated, it's just been forgotten. And when we support students in ways that align with how their brains and bodies are designed to thrive, everything changes. The research is consistent and it's all pointing in the same direction. Across neuroscience, nutrition, physiology, psychology, the message is clear. Wellbeing is not a luxury. It's the foundation of everything. Academic performance, mental health, confidence, resilience. All of it thrives with well-being underneath. And here's what the evidence shows. There are 6 foundational pillars that every expert from ancient philosophy to modern science come back to again and again. These aren't fads, they're not new, but together they form a powerful blueprint for real lasting change. These 6 pillars form the backbone of what I call Thrive Mode. Mind, breathe, move, fuel, connect, sleep. Built on science, rooted in biology and proven in real life. Your mind shapes your reality, but left unchecked it can become a breeding ground for anxiety, self-doubt and burnout. Students who build mental awareness, who learn tools like reframing, mindfulness, journaling and gratitude report greater resilience, more motivation and a higher life satisfaction. This isn't about toxic positivity, it's about mental hygiene being as vital as physical hygiene. You don't have to believe every thought you think, you can choose better ones. Breathwork isn't soft, it's science. Mindful breathing activates a parasympathetic nervous system, calming the body, steadying the heart and bringing the brain back online. Slow nasal breathing stimulates the vagus nerve, lowers cortisol and restores calm. Studies show mindful breathing can reduce anxiety more effectively than prescription medication. And here's the best part. It's instant, it's free, and it's always with you. In a world of overstimulation, your breath becomes your anchor. And with regular practice, it can transform sleep, sharpen focus, and regulate emotions, even under pressure, even in exams. It's not about doing more. Sometimes it's about pausing and breathing better. Exercise isn't just for your body, it transforms your brain. It boosts BDNF, a brain chemical essential for learning, memory, and mental sharpness. A simple 10-minute walk after studying can improve memory retention by up to 20%. Just 20 minutes of movements can reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression by 26%. And the science keeps coming. Regular exercise improves sleep, focus, motivation, and mood. And it's been shown to be 1.5 times more effective than antidepressants for mild to moderate depression. But this isn't about punishing workouts or hitting the gym at 6 a.m. It's about reclaiming movement as a daily tool for mental clarity and emotional strength. Walk, dance, stretch, lift, just move. Many students today are overfed but undernourished. Balanced nutrition supports energy, focus, and emotional regulation. And the brain is hungry, even though it makes up just 2% of your body weight. It uses 20% of your energy, so what you feed it matters. Diets and ultra-processed food, the kind that make up over 70% of the average student diets, are linked to a 50% increased risk of depression, anxiety, and brain fog. Students who eat real, nutrient-dense food not only feel better, they perform better too. And then there's the gut-brain connection. Moving cities, changing routines, constant stress. All of this disrupts the gut microbiome, and your gut health plays a powerful role in your mood. But the good news, small daily changes can rebuild that resilience from the inside out. And this isn't about perfection. It's about fueling your potential one meal at a time. Real relationships protect mental health, but today Generation Z is the loneliest generation in history, and Generation Alpha will face even more disconnection. Despite all the DMs, snap streaks, so many students feel unseen. But the truth is we're wired for connection. When that's missing, our bodies and minds suffer. Social isolation is now considered as harmful to health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. But even one supportive relationship, one real connection can build resilience and buffer against stress. Students with strong social networks don't just feel better, they perform better. They score higher on problem-solving tasks thanks to enhanced brain plasticity. And why? Because connection builds safety, and safety is the foundation of learning. But connection isn't just about people. Our relationship with the natural world matters too. Fresh air, rustling leaves, sunlight through trees, these aren't luxuries, they're lifelines. Spending just 20 minutes in nature can significantly reduce cortisol levels. Exposure to natural light, fresh air, and the steady rhythm of the outdoors calms the nervous system and restores focus. And design matters too, and more than you think. Desks near windows boost productivity by 25%. Adding plants improves learning speed. Hospital patients recover faster and need less medication when they can see greenery. Connection is medicine, whether it's with a friend or nature. Sleep is not a reward for productivity, it's the foundation beneath it. Good sleep supports memory, mood, immunity, and mental health. But most students aren't getting nearly enough of it. Sleep deprivation impairs focus, emotional regulation, and learning capacity, and the science is clear. Students who consistently sleep 7 to 9 hours not only feel better, they perform better and 68% less likely to experience depressive symptoms. During deep sleep, the brain literally cleans itself, processing memories, repairing cells, and flushing out stress chemicals. This is where resilience is restored. When the nervous system recalibrates, when the mind gets quiet enough to recover, sleep is not a luxury, it's a leadership tool. And we need to stop glorifying exhaustion like a badge of honour. Students don't need more hustle, they need more rest. Lifestyle interventions often outperform pharmaceuticals, but we rarely give them a chance, and yet we're spending billions rescuing people once they're already drowning instead of teaching them students how to swim. This isn't about weakness, it's about biology. It's about basic human needs. And it's about a system that's completely misaligned with how people, especially young people, actually thrive. What if we stopped firefighting crisis and started embedding prevention? Wellbeing isn't a distraction from success, it's the foundation of it. Students who have adopted these habits don't just feel better, they do better. They get to achieve higher grades. They're more motivated, more creative, more engaged, and they go on to achieve more, not in spite of prioritising their well-being, but because of it. This isn't about fixing students. It's about removing the blocks that stop them from becoming who they already have the potential to be. So where do we go from here? If we know that well-being drives performance, if we know that mental health is shaped by daily inputs, not just by diagnosis, then we need a new model, one that puts lifestyle, connection and nervous system health at the centre. That's why I created Thrive Mode, a simple science-backed framework designed to help students build lives that support their bodies, brains and full potential. It's not about perfection, it's about daily doable actions that stack up over time. Because small habits, repeated consistently, change everything. Thriving students don't just rely on intelligence or motivation, they train their brain for focus and mental resilience. They master their breath for calm and focus. They unlock energy, focus and strength through movement. They nourish their body and mind for peak performance. They foster meaningful relationships for well-being. They reclaim deep rest as their superpower. These 6 pillars are just as effective and often even more so than the medication for reducing stress, anxiety and depression, while also enhancing focus, energy and overall well-being. And why is that? Because they work with their biology and not against it. These 6 pillars form the foundation for a new way of living, one that doesn't just protect mental health but actively builds it. And it's not reserved just for the lucky few, it's teachable, learnable, repeatable. Every student deserves to know this, and every university can be part of the change. Students don't need more pressure, more diagnosis or more pills. They need tools, not just talk. Skills, not just safety nets. Connection, not comparison. They need to know that emotional pain is not weakness, that struggle doesn't mean failure, that help exists beyond the prescription pad. They need adults who see them, support them and stand with them. What if, instead of assuming they're broken, we fix the environment? When students thrive, everyone benefits. Families feel hopeful, staff feel energised, GPs can focus on care, not crisis. Employers welcome graduates who are confident, creative and resilient. Universities see higher engagement, stronger communities and better outcomes. This isn't just a student issue. It's a collective opportunity. Because when we prioritise well-being, we don't just prevent burnout, we unlock potential. We create a generation that's not just surviving university, but leaving it, ready to lead, innovate and to contribute. This is the foundation for a more healthier, more human future. This generation thrives and the next one flourishes. But students can't do this alone. We need a cultural reset. Universities, parents, property developers, medics, we are all part of the environment and all part of the solution. We must design student spaces that support real connection, fund prevention, not just crisis response, teach basic life skills as core curriculum, make lifestyle science engaging, practical and non-patronising. We don't need another app, we need a movement. And that's why I wrote Student Thrive Mode. That's why I'm building the Thrive Mode movement, to shift the narrative, to challenge the norm, to equip this generation to thrive in body, brain and beyond. I want to tell a new story about university life, one where students walk into their homes and are part of a community and not alone, where food is real, sleep is sacred, movement is daily, and no one suffers in silence behind a screen or a locked door, where students don't just survive university, they thrive. Because this isn't just a student issue, it's a societal wake-up call. So So I ask you, what role will you play? In your work, in your home, in your policies, in your choices. Because if we lose this generation to burnout and despair, we all lose. It's not their fault, but the solution that's in our hands. And the time to act is now. Thrive mode starts with us. If you're a parent, model it. Listen deeper. Create safety. If you're a university, stop firefighting. Proactively design well-being into the fabric of student life, not just as a crisis response. If you're a property developer, design homes that nourish the nervous system, not just meet regulations. If you're a policymaker, fund prevention, not just crisis. If you're a student, start small. One pillar, one breath, one choice. Because students aren't failing, the system is. And we have the power and the responsibility to redesign it. This is about changing the future of student mental health, not just through crisis response, but by empowering young people to build resilience from day one. Before I close, I'm really excited to leave you with something practical. It's called the Thrive Check. It's free and will take only a few minutes of your time. I created to help students and anyone supporting them to quickly see how they're doing across the 6 pillars of Thrive Mode. You'll get a personalised score, instant insights and some simple ideas to improve the areas where you might be struggling. Whether you're a student, a parent or someone working with young people, please feel free to take the Thrive Check and share. It's quick, it's practical and it might just shift the way you think about well-being. Thank you so much for listening. Please get in touch with me at philippacharrier.com.